The ground strokes are rotational circular shots and not linear shots. And two main factors for this are control and the rotation of the torso. So let's start off with the control when executing a linear shot. So what's going to happen if we do an extremely linear shot in a complete sideways position where we are forced to hit through the ball and there's absolutely no circular motion, it's a completely linear shot, you can see that I can get the ball inside the baseline and I can make the ball curve up and down, but I have to be very gentle and I have to gently push on the ball to be able to control it. I can very easily overhit this ball and make it go long. And in order for me to get proper shape on the ball, I need to be able to hit it in front with my dominant shoulder at least parallel to the non-dominant shoulder, or ideally even more in front. And from this position, I can have more of a circular swing path where I'm swinging up, across and back, and now the ball will shape up and down with more rotation, and the gravity can pull the ball back inside the baseline. This is a very important component of tennis, is the ability to control the ball and keep it inside the baseline. Many recreational players will indeed be forced to hit through the ball, and that has to do with the positioning on their shoulders at contact. Many recreational players are going to be sideways when they make contact with the ball. So the chest is going to be pointing towards the side fence when they make contact. The dominant shoulder is going to be behind the non-dominant shoulder. So now from this position, you will be forced to hit through the ball. If you don't have rotation, then it's obvious the racket will go forward in a linear fashion. But even with rotation, so if I make contact here with my dominant shoulder behind and then I rotate, I'm still going to be forced to hit through the ball. And in this case, it's very difficult to control the ball. And many recreational players, maybe even at a subconscious level, know this to be true, and therefore they end up pushing the ball very gently because they know if in this position they hit the ball too hard, it's very easy to miss the ball long. High-level players will have a contact point with the dominant shoulder in front of the non-dominant shoulder. So for this position, it's still possible to hit through the ball if we stop the rotation suddenly. And so if we stop the rotation, then we could theoretically go forward on the ball and hit in a linear way. But what happens is that from the starting point, from the unit turn, the rotation already starts, leading with the left side of the body. And now once we reach this point, this rotation is not going to stop, but it's going to continue. So the body's rotation goes from here to here, and the racket just simply follows the upper body rotation and is therefore a circular shot. If the player achieves this contact point, this player will be unable to hit through the ball, even if the player wanted to hit through the ball, because the player will not be able to stop the momentum of the torso rotation. So the circular stroke is intuitive if the player has a upper body rotation that goes from this position where the chest is pointing towards one side fence, and on the finish it goes towards the other side fence. Is there extension after contact? In other words, a player will make contact and then further extend towards the target with the arm before the arm comes back in like this? Absolutely not. There's not one high-level player who does it this way. And the confusion is that there are some players who have extension throughout the entirety of their stroke. Players such as Federer, Nadal, etc. will extend the arm upon the racket drop, and now the arm will be straight in the forward phase, in the contact, and it will remain straight in this phase right here before it pulls back in. However, the majority of players worldwide, including almost all the top WTA players and the majority of the ATP Top 100, plays the forehand with a bent arm at contact, in the preparation phase, at contact, and on the finish. In other words, you will never see somebody like a Djokovic make contact with a bent arm and then continue to extend forward. It simply will not happen. He will not do this because, first of all, he has rotation and he will be unable to do it anyway. He will lose the ball this way. You wouldn't see something like this. He's simply going to remain bent through the entirety of the shot. So he's going to start bend right here. He's going to remain bent in the forward phase. He's going to make contact bent, and he's going to finish bent. Are there situations where players will hit through the ball? Absolutely yes. And these are usually emergency situations such as the return of serve where the player doesn't have time to rotate, where the contact will be with the dominant shoulder behind. In this case, yes, the player will not be able to hit across this way. He will gently push on the ball like this and get the ball back in play. The player will rarely try to go for too much when this is the case. When the player is hitting forward on the ball, it's usually a gentle push. Other situations where this could be true could be a ball on the run where the player is unable to turn properly, or a ball that pushes the player behind like this. In this case, a lot of players will choose to, instead of pushing on the ball, they will go reverse this way. Or if the player is jammed, if the ball comes into the body, the player doesn't have time to get out of the way. In this case, the dominant shoulder will be behind as well, and the player will gently push on the ball to put